All right, let's talk about something that's honestly been bugging me since the moment I saw the schedule drop. Mitchell Robinson, the guy who battled through injuries, who fought for every rebound, who was out there setting bone-crushing screens and protecting the rim for years in a Knicks uniform, is not walking back into Madison Square Garden until March. March. Let that sink in for a second before we get into why this decision from the league office feels like a slap in the face to everyone who bled orange and blue this year. Before I get rolling, if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we're breaking down everything Knicks every single day. And seriously, drop a like on this video right now. It actually helps push this out to more Knicks fans who need to hear this take. Okay, let's get into it. So here's the situation. Robinson signed a 3-year, over $47 million deal with Boston this summer. Free agency. His choice. Technically, even though from everything he said publicly, it sounds like this wasn't exactly the outcome he was hoping for. He's hinted more than once that he didn't want to go down this way, that staying in New York mattered to him. But business is business, and now he's wearing green. Fine. That's the NBA. Guys leave. We've seen it before, we'll see it again. That part, as painful as it is, I can accept. What I cannot accept, what genuinely has me shaking my head, is how the league handled the scheduling around his return. Robinson was a massive piece of that championship run. The guy altered shots, cleaned up glass, did all the dirty work that doesn't show up on a highlight reel, but absolutely shows up in a title. And instead of getting him back to Madison Square Garden early in the season, when the energy is fresh, when the crowd is still riding that championship high, the league buries this game in the back half of March. We're talking barely a month before the regular season even wraps up. And it's not just about when, it's about how. This game tips off at noon, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, on a Sunday on network television. Not a Friday night, not a Saturday primetime slot, where the Garden can go absolutely electric for this guy. A noon start. If you're a working fan, if you've got a job, if you're anywhere outside the tri-state area trying to catch this on TV, good luck. This was a moment that deserved the spotlight, and instead it got scheduled like some random Tuesday matchup in February. Now let's talk about the ring, because this is where it gets almost comical. The Knicks won the championship back in the spring. By the time Robinson actually gets his hands on that ring, assuming they present it during this March game, which would honestly be the right call, we're talking roughly 9 months after the title was clinched. 9 months. The man helped bring a championship back to New York after decades of waiting, and he's got to wait the better part of a year just to get the physical piece of jewelry that proves it happened. Drop a comment below and tell me, does that timeline feel right to you? Because to me, it feels like the league is dragging its feet on purpose, like they don't fully understand what this moment means for Knicks fans, for the city, and honestly for Robinson himself. Here's the thing, though, and I want to be fair here because I think there's a flip side worth mentioning. If the Knicks had chosen to hand him that ring during one of the 2 early meetings, back in October when New York travels to Boston for the second game of the season, that would have felt rushed. Cheap, almost. Giving the guy his championship ring on the road, in the visiting team's building, with none of the pageantry, none of the video tribute, none of the roaring ovation from the best fans in basketball, that's not how you honor a guy who helped deliver a title. So I actually understand why the organization would rather wait and do this the right way at home, in the world's most famous arena, in front of the people who watched him grind through every single one of those seasons. But understanding the reasoning doesn't mean I have to like the execution. There were other chances. New York and Boston crossed paths multiple times this year. The October game in Boston, a January matchup back in Boston again, and then finally the Knicks host the Celtics for the first time in March, followed by one more meeting in early April. Out of all those options, they landed on the noon slot in mid-March for the big moment. Not the primetime slot. Not a nationally hyped Saturday night showdown. Noon. On a Sunday. I just don't get the logic. And if you don't either, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what start time you think this game actually deserved. Let's be honest about what this game is actually going to look like too. Picture it. Robinson walks out in that green Celtics jersey, standing in the building where he became a champion. The Garden's going to erupt for him regardless of the uniform, because Knicks fans remember. We remember the screens, the putbacks, the blocks, the way he fought through every ankle and hand injury just to be out there for this team. There's going to be a tribute video. There's going to be a standing ovation that probably lasts longer than it should. And for a few minutes, before the ball even goes up, it's going to feel like he never left. And then reality hits. The ball goes up and he's the opponent. He's trying to beat the team he helped build a championship with. That's going to be a strange, almost surreal few hours at the Garden. And honestly, I think it's going to hit Knicks fans harder than we're expecting. We saw this city celebrate him as a champion. Now we're going to watch him try to knock off the very team he helped carry to that title, wearing the colors of a franchise that has been our biggest rival for literal decades. If you've been a Knicks fan through the lean years, and I mean the real lean years, not just a rough playoff exit here and there, you know how much it means to finally get a championship. And you know exactly how much guys like Robinson sacrificed to make that happen. So seeing the league basically shrug off the significance of his return, tossing it into a random noon slot in March instead of giving it the spotlight it deserves, that stings. It feels like the NBA doesn't fully grasp what this moment means to the specific fan base in the specific city after the specific championship drought finally ended. I want to hear from you on this one. Seriously, are you fine waiting until March to see Robinson get his ring, as long as it happens the right way at home? Or should the league have found a way to make this happen sooner, in a bigger spotlight, instead of burying it on a weekend afternoon in the back half of the season? Drop your take in the comments. Like this video if you're as annoyed by that noon tip-off as I am. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss how this whole thing plays out when March finally rolls around. Because when Robinson does walk back into that building, ring ceremony or not, it's going to be one of the most emotional nights of the season. Just a shame the league couldn't find him a better spotlight to do it in. That's it for this one. Let me know your thoughts down below. Smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.